Okay, so we are going to do a full foam rolling routine from top of the body all the way down to our feet. And a few things to remember when we're talking about foam rolling is that foam rolling does not break up adhesions, it does not increase your mobility, it doesn't increase your recovery. What foam rolling actually does is it does increase circulation to the tissue. It does allow for your body to have this temporary change, and that's purely because as we roll over our tissues, we're speaking directly to the nervous system with that increase of blood flow. We're stimulating nerve endings that are going to our brain and then brain back to our tissues. So it can produce a temporary alleviation of some discomfort or pain if you have an area that's uncomfortable. And it does increase blood flow. So if there's some tissues that you're working on in your body, some areas that need a little bit more work, you can do some foam rolling, some quick foam rolling just to increase the circulation before you go and do your strength work or your deep mobility work. But first and foremost, it's important to remember that foam rolling does not change the tissue. It is not, our body is too resilient and too strong for something like this tool to make a permanent change to our tissue. So in order to permanently change tissue and restore healthy tissue, to work on mobility, range of motion, it takes a lot of consistent work. It takes strength training, it takes mobility training, it takes active stretching, and then some occasional manual therapy. But a foam roller is a great tool to get into our body, and in my opinion, it's one of the best tools for gaining a better understanding of your body. So, as you can see, I have lots of tools here behind me. These are lots of different tools for myofascial release, we'll call it myofascial release. Again, does not release, but we've got a foam roller. I have a full length foam roller here. I have a short foam roller. Most people have a long one. And then there's a couple trigger point tools, some balls, and a block. Okay, you don't need all of these, but I'm going to demonstrate some different ways to use them. So let's start up at the top of the head, and I'm actually going to use these two balls, and we're going to place them right at the base of our skull or the occipital lobe. If you don't have this tool right here, you can take two tennis balls or two lacrosse balls and place them inside a sock with a rubber band, or just tie a knot at the end. A knot is probably ideal. So you can use those. I'm going to use this since it's handy, and essentially we're trying to create this groove so that goes along our spine when we do other work. And so these two notches right here will be sitting right at the base of the skull. So you're going to come onto your back, and you're going to place this right at the back of the neck. And then I like to hold on to the sides as I nod my head yes and no. Okay, and we're just going to move through these quickly. I'm not going to do a full duration, just so you can get an understanding of the different ways to use these tools. And then you can just do this slight little rock side to side to get into that tissue, okay? And holding on allows you to press the balls further up towards the back of the skull, okay? So that's one option, is to use these two balls here. Second option for that same area is using a block. So placing the block again in the same area, right at the nape of the bottom of the skull. And I like to use this front corner. And you can rock your head side to side. You can actually get a little bit more range of motion when you're on the block here. Okay, if that's too much, you can take it onto a lower level as well. And then sometimes if you angle the block ever so slightly, I don't know if you can see this end, it allows it to be a sharper edge, and you can get into that area. Okay, and then you can also do that same work with the foam roller. So we'll use the foam roller right at the base of the neck, not the base of the neck, the base of the skull. Okay, and then I like to hold on to the sides here, rocking side to side, dropping your chin up and down towards your chest. Okay, so that's the neck, the suboccipital lobe. And then the next area we'll talk about is the thoracic spine. So we're going to place the foam roller right underneath the base of the shoulder blades. You'll place your hands behind your head and draw your elbows towards each other. And I'm holding onto my hair because if you have long hair and you don't hold on to it, it will get caught in the foam roller. So just take your hair up. If you have a hoodie on, make sure you take that hood up as well. So elbows towards each other. You're gonna draw your chin towards your chest so you're opening up that tissue in the upper back. And then we're gonna hover our hips 1 inch. And then you're gonna roll up and down along that thoracic spine, the upper back. Okay, and you'll do these rolls for about 30 to 60 seconds each. They don't need to be slow. You're not working on breaking up adhesions. Remember, the foam roller cannot do that. So you're just rolling up and down. Let it feel good. And then the second variation we'll do on our upper back is you're going to drop your hips. Make sure the roll is right underneath the base of the shoulder blades. Hips will go on the ground, and then you're going to allow your elbows to drop out to the side, opening up your chest, opening up the front of the shoulders, and extending into that thoracic spine, the vertebrae in your upper back. And then you can do these in repetitions, so coming up to neutral, not coming up into a full crunch, just up to neutral. And then exhale, allowing yourself to fall back, bending over the roll. Exhale, coming up to neutral, and opening up over the foam roller. This just feels good. Allows your body to move in this opposite direction than we're doing all day sitting at our computers. And then the third variation here is you're gonna bring your head up to neutral. You'll hover your hips 1 inch or 2 off the ground, still supporting the head and neck. And now we're gazing up towards the ceiling. And we're gonna twist our spine side to side. So we're gonna make a C shape, and you're gonna bring your left hip and left elbow towards each other. So I'm actually curving my spine to the side, laterally flexing, and I'm gonna reach up through the opposite elbow. And then I'm gonna twist, gripping the tissue, going over to the other side. So right hip, right shoulder towards each other, reaching up through that left elbow, and then going back and forth side to side. So reaching up, really gripping the tissue as I go side to side. Do that a few times, and then sometimes it feels nice to drop the hips again and then go back into your spinal thoracic extension, taking a couple deep breaths here. Big inhales, big exhales, super important to breathe. So that's our thoracic spine. And then we're gonna move into our lats. So you're gonna come directly onto your side here. And I'm gonna place the roll about 2 or 3 inches below my underarm, below the armpit. And the bottom arm is gonna be overhead with the palm up. Okay, and then we're going to roll on our lat. So I wanna make sure that you're not leaning back. We almost wanna lean slightly forward. And then if this is at all uncomfortable for your head or neck, you can support with your bottom arm hand. So just bend the elbow and support here, okay? So rolling forward slightly, and then a couple different positions. You can have your knees stacked like this and your hips stacked, rolling up and down. Okay. Other option is to place this top leg, place the foot behind you. You can hover your bottom hip slightly and get a little bit bigger range of motion. So whatever feels best for you. So those 2 different options. I tend to just go for this one right here. And then, so rolling up and down, straight vertical. And then we can do this cross friction shearing action. So we're gonna think about staying stacked, so shoulders stacked over the foam roller. And then rather than rolling forward and rolling back on the tissue, you're gonna grip the tissue and shift side to side or front to back, okay? So we're rolling sideways on the foam roller, but gripping the tissue front to back. Okay, and then you can go back to that rolling up and down, and you can alternate between the cross friction and the vertical rolling. Okay, so that's the lats. And then we're gonna go to the spine. And so we're gonna work our way down the spine. This is where I do like to use the 2 balls, okay? So 2 tennis balls or lacrosse balls in a sock tied with a knot on the end, or this little guy. And we're gonna start at the base of our shoulder blades, so right about here. And then we're gonna work our way up towards the upper spine. So I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna place this right at the base of my shoulder blades, hands behind my head, and then I'm just going to slowly bring my head down to the floor. I'm gonna come back up, I'm gonna do a couple repetitions here. Elbows are towards each other. Use your breath. And this can feel pretty intense, feels intense to me today. You're gonna let your head drop down, and coming up to neutral. Again, if there's any sharp pains, please avoid doing this, but it might feel good to get deep into that tissue. Just bring in some good blood flow there, trying to mobilize. Again, it's not permanent mobility, but just trying to move into that tissue. We're working our way up the spine. Okay, so you can continue to move one vertebrae at a time just by lifting the hips, dropping them down, and working your way all the way up the spine as high as you comfortably can. Okay, so that's moving along the spine. And we're going to move into the hips. So we're going to start with the glutes. So you're going to sit on top of your roll. And then we're going to cross our right ankle over the left knee. So we're going to try and do all of these on the right side of the body. So ankle over the knee, and then we're going to lean on that right hip. So you're actually rolling the hip that has a stretch on it. So we're moving into a piriformis stretch or a glute stretch or hip external rotator stretch here on this right side. And so that's the tissue that I want to roll. Hands on the ground behind you. If this is too much for your wrists, you can come up onto the base of your fingertips here. And then just feeling it out. Just rolling into the hips, check in. You might find that one hip is a little bit tighter or more sensitive than the other. You might find some areas that feel really sensitive. Again, you're not going to break up that tissue or change it, but it's good to just get some good blood flow in there, get it moving, and then do some other activation work after you get into those areas that feel a little bit sensitive or that need some extra attention. So you're just rolling the hips just like that. Okay, and we will go into the fronts of the hips. So we're going to work on the TFL next. So with our legs straight out in front of us, if you were to place your hand right on the front of your hip and then turn your toe in, so internally rotating that hip, you'll feel a muscle that pops up that kind of feels like this hard, ropey muscle or tissue, okay? That's your TFL. So it's an internal rotator. So as you turn that leg in, that muscle is going to pop up. So I want you to find that, and then that's what we're going to roll. So you're going to feel where that is on your body with your opposite hand, and then you're going to flip around, and you're going to place the roll right underneath that TFL. So if I'm on my right side, I'm going to have my right elbow down, my right leg is straight out, and then I'm going to support myself and use this left leg as leverage and my left hand as leverage. And I'm all the way up to the front of that hip bone, so as high as I can go before rolling on the bone. So we don't want to roll bones, we're just rolling soft tissue. And then I'm going to work my way, move a little bit lower. I'm going to work my way from the top of that hip bone down about 5 or 6 inches. Okay? And if you don't feel much sensation here, you can work with a smaller surface area tool. So this is a pretty big foam roller. It doesn't have any knobs or anything. We can actually get a little bit deeper with that orange guy back there, which is a trigger point tool. And then even deeper with something like this, okay? You can also even use a ball, tennis ball or a lacrosse ball on the side to get into a little bit deeper tissue and get on the sides of that TFL. So we're just going to roll up and down. Again, you can do that shearing, cross friction side to side, just gripping the tissue, moving forward and back, alternating, and that is your TFL. Okay, from here we're going to move down to our lateral quad. So you're just going to lift your hips up and you'll move the roll about halfway down the thigh. Again, my hips are still angled slightly forward towards the floor, so I'm not on my IT band, I'm not on the side. We're not going to roll our IT bands. That IT band is very dense tissue and it won't do anything to your IT band by rolling it. So if you feel like you need to release your IT band, I recommend releasing the TFL and the lateral quad. Okay? That IT band is this tissue, this dense connective tissue that's kind of in this tug of war between your quads and your hamstrings. So releasing the TFL, releasing the hamstrings, releasing the glutes, and the lateral quad will actually help release that TFL over time, in addition to doing some mobility training. So opening up the hips, strengthening into all of that lower body tissue. Okay, so this is the lateral quad. And we're going to work our way down to that lower section just above the knee joint. And then just working in this short little 4 to 5 inch section. Okay, if you find a spot on your quads that feels like it's very tight. You can pause and then do some active work there. So slowly bringing that heel towards the glute and then slowly straightening that leg back out. And working with your breath and staying slow and intentional. Okay, and so that's the quads. We're gonna move into the hamstrings next. Hamstrings can be a tough tissue to access. They're pretty dense and they're hard to reach on your own. It's often more beneficial to get in with a smaller surface area tool because it's so dense and thick and they're pretty strong. So I will show you with the foam roller just because not everyone has all tools. So you'll sit on top and then we're gonna work the upper portion. So we're gonna work the hamstring where it starts to attach to the glutes, and you're gonna take one leg forward. So we're working the right side, so I'm gonna take my right leg forward. My left leg is the support leg. Hands can be here on the side of the roll. And we're just gonna use this left leg to push ourselves forward and back. Okay, you can float that right leg if that feels okay. You can also have your hands on the ground in front of you. It can feel like an awkward position. You can take that left leg out a little bit wider if you need. So rolling forward and back. Again, you can get deeper with a smaller tool. You can also take your hands behind you if it's too much here, being upright. But again, in this position, I'm not getting as deep into the hamstring. But listen to your body, check in, maybe you will get some sensation here. Okay, moving down the leg, we're gonna go to our calves and then we'll work our way back up for the inner thigh in just a second. So we're gonna cross our right, take our right foot, place it directly on top of the foam roller, and I'm gonna relax the foot. Okay, if my foot is flexed, that tissue is on a full stretch and some of that tissue is engaged, and I'm not gonna be able to get underneath and kind of work into the tissue that's in the lower leg. So we're gonna relax the foot completely, and you'll feel just by relaxing, you're able to get deeper. Other leg is gonna come on top if you need a little extra pressure. Okay, it might feel fine with just your leg, the weight of your leg. So this is just extra weight on top. And we're gonna move from the knee joint. Okay, I'm not moving my ankle. Hands are behind me just to support. Okay, I'm gonna bend my knees towards me, keeping the foot relaxed, and then I'm gonna release back out. Okay, so just moving from the knee joint. You can start by doing repetitions straight up and down, with the foot straight up and down. You can then rotate the foot out to the side slightly, so you're getting a little bit more of the perineals or the lateral aspect to the lower leg. And then you can also turn the foot in, so you're getting the medial aspect of the leg. Okay, if this feels like it's not enough, you can place your hands down, just gonna be a little bit more work. Lift your hips off the ground and then roll forward and back. Just swinging your hips back between your hands and forward. Okay, so that's the calves. Let's go up to the inner thighs for a moment. So we're gonna angle our foam roller out to the side, and then you're gonna flip around, and I'm going to place the foam roller perpendicular to my femur, okay? So we're gonna roll the adductors or inner thigh, and I'm gonna start at this medial portion of my knee, and I'm gonna lift my foot up ever so slightly. Both forearms are down, or one hand can be down, but I do want you on your right elbow, okay? If we're up too high, we're really just risking accessing into this low back tissue that we don't wanna work into. So forearm down, hand down, or both elbows down, and then you're just gonna rock your body forward and back, getting into that inner thigh, inner quad. The higher you bring this foot, the more you're going to reach towards the anterior side of the leg or that medial quad. The lower you drop the foot, the more you'll be directly on the adductors. So you can play with both, okay? Lifting that heel up, getting more medial quad, all the way down just above that knee joint, dropping the heel, getting adductor, and then just working your way all the way up to that inner thigh. So reaching up and pulling back. Okay, so that's the inner thigh. And we're gonna go down to the feet. I think we touched on everything. So the feet, I'm going to use a golf ball. So most people have a golf ball at home. And with the bottom of your foot, so you can just roll your foot, but I do like to sometimes apply a directional force. So if you think about your foot being like this triangle, I'm going to work, and I'm going to place the ball on the ground, but I'm going to show you here. So we're going to work from the outer edge of the heel. Okay, so pinky side of the foot. Outer edge of the heel, I'm going to press in, and I'm going to work my way, like gripping along all the way to the base of the pinky toe. And then I'm going to work my way all the way across to the base of the big toe. And I'm going to work my way down the arch of the foot down to the inner heel. And then I'm going to continue like that. Pinky toe, ball of the foot, down to the heel, working the way around. Okay, so best to do this seated in a chair. Make sure this is either on a mat or on a carpet where this just won't, carpet that has some texture to it so it won't just fly out from underneath you. So I'm going to place it right underneath the base of my heel on the pinky side of my foot. I'm going to press down, and I'm going to keep that same pressure as I work my way up to the base of the pinky toe, slow and controlled. And then I'm going to work over to the base of the big toe. And then I'll work down the arch of the foot, trying to relax the toes all the way to the inner edge of the heel on the big toe side. And working over to the outer edge of the heel on the pinky toe side, up to the pinky toe, over and across to the base of the big toe, working down the arch to the inner heel. Okay, you can do that a few times, working in that same direction. You can just roll the foot just to get some stimulation to those nerve endings, just kind of talking to the tissue. But I do like to sometimes apply that direction, so try both. If you have something that has some texture to it, that can feel nice too. That can feel nice on any of the body parts that we've done throughout the body, but it does feel really nice on the feet. We are in contact with the ground all day long with our feet, and if we're in shoes, we also don't get as much stimulation into the feet, and the feet are the foundation of all movement that we do. So just trying to get some stimulation into those nerve endings, sending signals up to the brain, waking things up. Muscles don't wake up or fall asleep or turn off, but getting some stimulation will just talk to that nervous system. Okay, that is, one more thing. So last thing is getting into the viscera. So I have this deflated ball here. So it's like a deflated dodgeball. And we are going to lay directly on this allowing it to penetrate into our stomach. So you can do some work into the diaphragm, which is a very important muscle that I talk about in some of the breathwork videos on being one of the foundational strengths and muscles of our core. So we want to be able to move our diaphragm properly. Sometimes it gets stuck. This isn't going to permanently release a diaphragm or change that, but we don't get into our belly enough. So using this ball to get in there can be helpful. So all you're going to do is lay on the ball. Okay, I like to start a little bit closer to the rib cage. And you can start on your forearms as you just check in and tune into your body. If you're new to this, start slow. And then you can work your way to fully resting on your stomach. And you're just sinking in, okay? So allowing your body to shift side to side and move it around. If there's any very painful areas, please do not roll on those spots. There's a lot of stuff in here. We've got our intestines, our stomach, all of our organs, and they're all surrounded by fascia. So we're just working into that tissue, getting some good blood flow there. Listen to your body. And again, just like I said before, I think foam rolling is one of the best ways to get connected to and to get a better understanding of your own body. So you can spend like 2 to 5 minutes there just getting into your tissue for all of the different areas. I would say spend anywhere from like 30 to 60 seconds on each thing. Doesn't need to be a long, drawn out process. You're just getting some good blood flow there, and yeah, feels good. So especially right now, we don't have access to our massage therapists or our body workers, so it can feel really good just to get that touch into your tissues. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you get into your bodies.